Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, you've been involved with a lot of Jewish community service. Hadassah,
Yes.
Jewish War Vets, National Council of Jewish Women, to name a few. Tell me about your involvement with those organizations.
Well, it started as a teenager. I was very involved in Jewish organizations, which kind of prepped me for my later life. As a young woman, my dad asked what would I like for college graduation. And I piped up, I don't know where it came from. I said I would like life membership in Hadassah. He said, okay, and that's what he did. He bought me life membership. Back then, it was not very expensive. And from that minute on, I joined the professional women's group. I was a teacher, and it was a good group to join. I got involved with some wonderful women, and it just went from there. I just decided I need to do other things besides that. I was very involved in Hadassah. I became president. I did a lot of things on the board, and it just kind of blossomed into other organizations and other things that I wanted to do.
So your work with Hadassah, was that for the Dallas area?
Dallas area.
Okay, tell us about some of the projects you guys worked on.
Oh, gosh. Well, I started, again, we revamped the professional women's group under my leadership, which was wonderful. We started something called the Nurses Council under my presidency, which was terrific. It's a group of women that are in allied health professionals, and we started a group just for them. Those are the two biggies as far as Dallas is concerned. I then jumped onto the regional board level, and I had several positions visiting other cities and trying to help them out and counseling them of any problems they might have in San Antonio and Austin and some other places. So that was exciting.
Okay.
And I also moved to Florida twice and came back to Dallas twice. Something kept pulling me back to my hometown. But while I was in Florida as well, I was active in the similar activities with Hadassah.
Okay, and talk to me now about the Jewish war veterans.
Oh, it's a wonderful group. Very hands-on. They do lots of things in the community. It's different from Hadassah because, as you know, Hadassah is most of our projects are in Israel. And people can't see it and they can't touch it and they're not sure what they're giving their money to sometimes. JWV, it's an easy sell. We know that it's helping military, it's helping veterans right here in our community and worldwide and nationwide. You don't have to be a member of the, people think you had to have been in the military to join, not the women's group. The women's group, it's just anybody who wants to help out. We help with the Veterans Hospital and we help with children's projects as well. We're allowed to do more than the men, technically. So we do more than the men because we're women. And we like helping children and the poor and the downtrodden and the veterans. So it's wonderful. It's a great group.
Okay, and the National Council of Jewish Women?
I am the not director, that's not right, co-chairman of something called Hello Israel. Again, it's my love for Israel and my Zionist tendencies come out. We plan little programs, audio-visual aids and materials and fun, just hands-on stuff with 6th graders throughout Dallas, Garland, and Richardson School District.
Now, as you're out trying to recruit people to help you in these organizations, what is it the deciding factor to get people involved?
We basically lay out some of the things that we do that are important to us, and we get people to sign up for it, and it's really not that hard. You'd be amazed how many women in Dallas are involved in something Jewish, really. A lot of women, I think. I don't know, I'm not sure, but I would say probably more than other communities. There's many Jewish women involved in something because they believe in it.
And it does give you great joy, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, yeah. If I could be paid for my volunteer hours, I would be very wealthy. As a retired school teacher, I never got paid much, but my volunteer work is really where it's at.
All right, well, let's go back to the beginning now. 1956.
Oh. You had to say that. Yes.
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. I got here by accident, I always tell people.
The city has changed a little bit.
Oh, it's changed tremendously.
And we've gone back so far. The hospital you were born at, you said was imploded.
It's gone. It's no more. I have no proof that I was ever born here.
Well, tell me what you remember when you were a little girl. What was life like?
I do remember, believe it or not, my days right here at the JCC in the tiny little preschool, tiny little JCC that we had. My family was very active then, and at Tiferet Israel, both. And both of which I joined here in preschool, and we joined Tiferet Israel when I was about 7 or 8. I started Hebrew school there. And I remember my parents, they're both from Brooklyn, New York, so they didn't really have any friends here in the beginning. My dad moved here on a lark to work in the merchandise business, and my mom came later. They met later, and they had to meet friends. They needed to know people, their neighbors and Tiferet Israel members and other people. So they joined several places, which I'm glad they did. And as a young child, I also, became friendly with some people from way back that my family knew, and they had kids my age, and the rest is history.
Well, you said they both came from Brooklyn at separate times and met here. They didn't know each other back in New York?
No, the story goes, my father went to visit his parents back in Brooklyn, and they met at a party. My mom's family was there and my dad's family was there. And they each said, have I got a boy for you? And the other one said, have I got a nice girl for you? Literally, they met. My dad said it was really love at first sight. He swears it was. I don't know about my mom. But he was already living in Dallas. And so she came, well, he went up and back a few times. She came down here to visit. He proposed to her after 2 dates, which in these days is pretty much unheard of, you know, but that's what happened, and she moved down here. Never regretted it, never looked back. She really liked Dallas.
Now, your grandparents and everybody had stayed back in New York, though?
Yeah. Three of my grandparents are from Eastern Europe, and one of them was actually born in New York. So,
Okay.
and I thought that was unusual, because back then you think everybody was born in the, you know, in the old country, but one of them was born in New York, so.
Okay, well, tell me about where you went to grammar school, and what did you guys do as kids?
First of all, I have to say, we lived in a little community. We lived in Farmers Branch, you know, west of, or whatever, south of Dallas, west of Dallas. Anyway, and no Jews. None. There are 5 Jewish families in my area, my development. And I asked my parents over and over, why did you move out here? You know, this is Hubbardsville. There's nothing out here. And their answer always was, it was a nice community, it was lovely, and it was affordable. That's really all they could afford at the time. A small little starter house, you know, Fox and Jacobs homes back then. So I got to know my neighbors, and I did know my Jewish neighbors because we carpooled to Tiferet together, a couple of us. And I was the only Jew at Cabell Elementary School, and I was almost the only Jew in all of my classes at Marsh Junior High, which is still there, now it's Marsh Middle School, and almost the only Jew at White High School, which people can't believe these days. But very few Jews were there. So it forced me, or enabled me, however you look at it. The good thing was to get very involved in my youth group at my synagogue, and to get very involved in B'nai B'rith and Young Judea, which I loved. So, you know.
Had siblings?
Yes. My mother had a child. I had a younger brother who died. He only lived to be about 22, 23 months old. He had Tay-Sachs, which was a genetic disease. And unfortunately, he, you know, didn't make it. No child survives it. We're working on a cure, but it's not here. And due to that, I started a group here in Dallas. I helped with a group of women who also had similar, either someone in their family or knew somebody with Tay-Sachs. And we had kind of our own support group going here, which, you know, which was kind of nice, because other communities have it also for various genetic diseases. So.
Right. And then your folks adopted?
Yes. When he died, they only waited a short while. It's not a good thing. My mother wasn't ready. My father pushed it on her, and they adopted my brother now, who I have, Mark. He was about almost 4 years younger than me, so we really, honestly, we didn't interact much. He was always, we were never in the same school at the same time, except 1 year we overlapped at the elementary school. That was it.
Talk to me about high school life.
High school was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful for me. I did well academically, and I always did my homework, and I always did what I was supposed to do. I was a really good student, but again, it goes back to the stuff I was doing on the side was really more fun. I was a dancer and a singer and a piano player, and also involved in B'nai B'rith and Young Judea. I was in a dance group. I traveled for BBYO. I was on the board with BBYO, local and regional board. So again, it's like the precursor to all the stuff I'm doing now as an adult, I did as a teenager.
Now, when you were, you say you sang and you danced and played the piano. Did you ever do any of that publicly?
Yes. I was in a group actually with Mark Creditor, a real estate person. He owns a business, Get There First, and some other things. He's active in the Jewish community. But we had a little singing group. I was in several other rock bands, believe it or not. But I didn't do it professionally.
Where'd you perform?
Bar mitzvahs, weddings, here at the JCC, Israel Independence Day. Way back when, I was in charge of entertainment for Israel Independence Day every year.
What was it like
on the committee?
In front of the crowd?
I didn't have a problem. I loved having a mic in my hand. I loved performing. No problem. I enjoyed it.
Did you ever think about trying to do it professionally?
Yes, I did. I always thought I missed my calling. I should be on Broadway somewhere, but no.
What'd your parents think?
Interesting. Their advice was, if I'm not going to perform, mostly piano. Forget singing and dancing, which I love, but mostly I was a very serious piano student, and I practiced a lot, and I think I was pretty good. But if I wasn't going to go on with it after college, then they felt there was really no point in continuing and paying for lessons and, you know, whatever. And I had to make a decision at some point during college that I decided I was not going to do it professionally, and so I went another way, which is education, which is fine. You know, became a teacher, and I don't regret it at all. But I love, you know, sitting and piddling every once in a while, but I can't play and perform anymore.
Now, in high school, what was BBYO life for you?
It was my life. I was a sweetheart of Louis AZA, and I was president of my chapter, Wadel, BBG, and I was on the region board, and I was on the Dallas-Fort Worth board, the vice president of the board here locally, the Metroplex. And we did a lot, you know, back then, times were different. Our focus was on service projects. It's not so anymore, because I was professionally, I was BBOO director twice here in Dallas. And it's just changed a lot, you know. I mean, yes, we had our social functions, we loved our dances, and we loved running around with everybody, but we really focused on doing good deeds in the community.
Right, right.
And that's all but disappeared now, which is a shame.
After high school, were you on to work or on to college?
I went to University of Texas.
In Austin?
In Austin.
Okay.
I was accepted to a small college in Chicago and another one in Boston, a teacher college, and I decided to stay in Texas, the Texas system. Mostly, which my father, may he rest in peace, didn't know this, because I didn't want him to have to pay out-of-state tuition. And that's the truth. So I stayed at UT all 4 years, and I do not regret it. It was fabulous. The School of Education is excellent. It's way up there with the best. And I had a wonderful time also doing service projects and meeting people and social things. And I was in a group called GDE, Gamma Delta Epsilon, which was not a Greek sorority. It was a Greek service organization. Again, we go back to, I was doing lots of good deeds for people on campus and off campus, and it was a lot of fun.
And what was the times in the country like when you were in college?
I would say it wasn't unrest. It wasn't a lot of unrest. It was pretty peaceful and pretty okay.
Kind of right after the hippie era?
After the hippie era,
Vietnam.
a bit after, God forbid, the gunman that was shooting people on the tower at UT. UT had a bad rap because of all that, you know, nationwide. People were scared to go there, people were scared to visit. But this was about 4 years later, so it was okay. It had calmed down by then. Yeah, we didn't have a lot to protest, or, you know, maybe that's good and bad, but they were good years. They were very positive years.
Now, where did you meet your husband?
When I was 8. Our families knew each other. We were friends from Tiferet, Israel, my synagogue. So all those years I knew him. I wouldn't say we were friends really until much older. His older brother and I became friends probably around junior high age, and we were friendly throughout the rest of our life, till now, his older brother and I. David was kind of the nuisance little younger brother that was hanging around. But I got to know him better in high school because he was in the chapter that I was sweetheart of. And he said he had a crush on me since he was about, so that's very nice. It took him 30 years to ask me out on a date. 26 years to be exact, really.
Wow.
And we went out on our first date. I won't go into the whole story, but we've known each other through the years. We were friendly, and I moved to Florida. I moved back to Dallas, and his brother said, you need to give Jo a call, you know. Give her a call, ask her out. So after all these years, he was 40, and I was almost 41 when we had our first date, officially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you guys get married?
4 months later. Got married in Dallas. It was wonderful at Fair Park in the Butterfly Garden area of Fair Park, which was wonderful. It was fun. It was a great occasion. The rabbi was Yitzchak Cohen, who was at Tiferet Israel, who we knew very, very dearly and knew him very well, and he was thrilled to do the ceremony. And the whole thing was unique. The fact that we were older, the fact that we did it all ourselves, our parents were not involved, not monetarily or anything else. You know, we knew what we wanted, we were old enough, and we did it. And the rabbi was just amazing. He went around at Fair Park in the gardens and had like different areas where he was teaching people about the wedding ceremony. It was most unique. It was really wonderful.
What can you tell me about your grandparents?
I was very close to them. The sad part was that they were in New York, all of them. All of my whole family's on the East Coast. And we were here. I used to say I'm stuck in Dallas, but I like Dallas, but it was sad that I wasn't near any of my relatives growing up. I wish I could have been, but, you know, circumstances were different. But I was as close to them as I could be. We saw them once or twice a year, whenever we could afford to go there, or they came down here to visit us. But I was very close to. I was really fortunate. Honestly, I had all 4 grandparents living and 5 great-grandparents living at the time of my bat mitzvah.
Wow.
Yes, that's really unique.
Yeah.
All in New York, and every chance I got, I went to see them and visited, and I spent a few summers up there and really got to know them, and I don't think hardly anybody can say that. 5 great grandparents living.
Yeah, that is amazing.
All from the old country, from Poland, yeah. So it was, but my grandparents and I were very, very close, and they lived, most of them lived, they had longevity, lived into their 90s, almost 90s,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
How have you seen the Jewish community change in Dallas over the years?
The biggest thing, a couple of big things, is the growth, obviously. When I was a child, I remember, or even a teenager, I actually had the honor of being on the board of the Federation. Mm-hmm. They wanted a teen representative, and they picked me, which I was really honored to be on the board. So I gave my input as a 16-year-old, mm-hmm. 17-year-old, I was on it 2 years, of what the community needed. Right. Like they're going to listen to me, right? And they did listen. Years ago, we decided we needed an indoor pool. Of course, it only took 30 years to get one, but hey, you know, that was my suggestion. And some other things I'm proud of that I did, but the numbers have changed, obviously, tremendously. There were about 10,000 Jews when I was growing up in Dallas, and now there's about 60,000, I think, is the latest statistic. So numbers alone brings an influx and people from all over and different ideas and different programming and, you know, different things happening. One thing that's really, really nice about Dallas, and I don't know that it wasn't, well, when I was growing up, that organizations tried on a certain level to work together. Mm-hmm. Laura Seymour is very proud of saying that now we work together with Israel Independence Day, but it goes back a ways. Mm-hmm. I think we've had coordination among Jewish groups for a good 20-25 years or so, mm-hmm. where we really have worked together to do various things. You know, Israel Independence Day is one example in the community, which I don't know if it's unique among cities, but I'm glad that we do it here. I'm proud of the fact that Dallas can do that.
Right. Now you were obviously a little girl when Kennedy was assassinated. Do you remember your parents talking about it at all?
I remember that day exactly. We all do. If we were old enough to remember it all, we know exactly what we were doing. We were at school, of course, during the day. Our teachers heard the news immediately. They came back into the classroom hysterical crying. Didn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever you are, you were hysterical crying. We were dismissed. In those days, we walked to school and walked home. So we walked home and we hung out on our front lawn. Some of our moms, including mine, who were housewives, went to see Jackie Kennedy, went to see them and greet them at Love Field or even downtown, whichever it was. And my mother wasn't home, and some of her friends and my neighbors weren't home. They went to see Jackie Kennedy, and they got to shake her hand.
Wow.
Yeah. Then my mother proceeded towards downtown. I swear, I wish I had statistics on this, but I would believe my mother was like the first to see, because she was very observant as a mother. She saw immediately when Kennedy's limousine and cavalcade was going the wrong way on a one-way street. She says, something's wrong. Immediately, something's wrong, to her friend in the car. Mm-hmm. They saw it. They saw it happening. They didn't see the shot. Right. They saw what the immediate aftermath. And we all hung out outside until our parents came home to let us in the house. And we were upset, but maybe we didn't quite understand it all, except we understood, you know, somebody had just shot the president. We got that part. I was 7 at the time, 2nd grade.
Wow. And then you remember the
aftermath?
Oswald shooting?
Yeah, yes, yep.
You know,
I remember it like, honestly, now that it's the 50th, I can't believe it was 50 years ago. Yeah. It's like it was yesterday. And to this day, I'm one of those Dallasites who's tried to move on and have some positive images of Dallas rather than everybody remembering us, you know, by Kennedy's assassination. It's hard. It has been 50 years of struggling with it all, honest to God. First, I open my mouth and say I'm from Dallas, and the first thing they say is, that's where Kennedy was shot, even to to this day. Some people say, that's where the show was shot, you know, the TV show. But besides South Fork, I don't know that we'll ever live it down, because it was a very steamy time in our political life, Dallas, Texas. It really was.
Happiest time in your life?
Oh, my late 20s.
Okay.
Late 20s.
Was there something special going on?
I was involved in things like I am now, a lot of fun things, a lot of road trips with friends, dating several guys. My job was really good. At one point I was at Solomon Schechter. I am proud to say that I was teaching, and I opened 3 new Jewish schools in Dallas. I was on the first staff that was there, is what I mean. I opened the JCC here when it was brand new, and Solomon Schechter when it moved from Shereth Israel to its own building, North Dallas, and Wise Academy, which was a short-lived but wonderful Reform Day school. But those were good times. I was the Solomon Schechter at the time.
And how many years did you teach school?
Total? Almost 29 years.
Okay, and where was the bulk
Variety.
of that? Where did you teach?
The bulk of it was here in Dallas in private schools. I was at just about all of the Jewish schools for several years or more. I did have a stint with DISD. Couldn't stand it. Absolutely couldn't deal with it, all the politics of public school, and went back to private school teaching.
You know, when you think of the kids, some of the kids that you taught years ago, and then you see them today, what do you think?
Amazing. They've grown up, they did okay, they're not ruined, you know. I taught first grade, so I'm proud to say that I taught some of them how to read and write and do their math, you know, that. And yeah, they were little ones when I taught them, and they're all grown up with families of their own in some cases, or PhDs, or, you know, wonderful jobs. They have come back, and I have seen them, and it's been really wonderful to see them.
What advice do you want to leave for the next generation?
They really need to reestablish manners, a stronger ethical code if possible, in work and at home, and to work and play nicely together. That's just, some of it's been lost in this generation, I think. I really do think so.
You did a great job today.
Oh, thank you.
It was very good. You enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah, you did wonderful.